To access all full body language videos, breakdowns and analysis, alongside the game that I can't feature here on YouTube, check out the Patreon, the link is in the description. Thanks.
Everyday superpower. We talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. Gonna put you on some game. Whether you're dating or whether you are, being tested later on in your relationship, because they don't stop coming. She needs to keep reassessing and analyzing where you stand and where your boundaries are as a man. We're going to talk about some very fascinating stuff. We're going to talk about testing. Some would call it testing. But generally, she has a biological mechanism, the feminine imperative, to ensure she's safe and sound around you and knows where you stand. And sometimes she might need to reassess your value, in the grand scheme of things, by throwing out a curveball to test your security, to test your comfort levels, and just to see where you stand psychologically at that particular moment in time. So some would say, and don't get me wrong, we're going to go into some good information. I'm gonna break down 3 particular ways she's going to test you. So hold on, right? Or 3 particular areas she's going to test you on, and you're not going to be able to avoid this. So please pay attention. So some would say that being tested by a woman in this manner, being shit tested by a woman in this manner, is an indicator of interest, right? So if she's doing this upon the first date, it's just to see who you are. It's, a fascination to feel out your identity and know who you are as a man, as opposed to trying to bully you. It might seem that way at first, just like, why would she try to hurt my feelings? Why would she try to make me feel insecure? Why would she laugh at that or this or the next thing? But it's because she might just want to go further with you and give it up to you, but she needs to feel secure first. She needs to know who you are first, because of course you present yourself in an aesthetic manner. You talk about what you want to talk about, but she wants to get in there and find the spectrum of belief, the spectrum of security, the spectrum of identity that resides in the darkness that you don't give up. And most of the time, consciously, she might not be thinking you're like this. Or should I, my apologies, she might not be thinking that she's doing this. It's quite simply a means of her assessing who you are as a man. It's the feminine auditing the masculine principle. And I know it's annoying, and most people get red pill rage over this sort of stuff. Like, why would she need to test me? Why can't we just be friends? Blah, 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 blah. I completely understand, but look at it from this perspective. It's actually in your benefit, and it's actually good, because given that you see these things, given that you understand these things, given that you know generally what to offer to that woman, generally you know how to be as a man, you grow into a better man yourself by understanding these tests and why not she's interested in these particular traits, and you adapt yourself as such, because it's better for not only her but for you first and foremost. When you realize that when you pass these tests, it's to your benefit, and it enhances how she and the entire world sees you. You put yourself above the majority of men, and you not only have fun identifying this, but you get the result you want. It's a fast track to you getting what you want, as well as she gets what she wants, okay? So pay attention. There is 3 particular things she will feel out. And just before I get into that, I just want to say, if she doesn't test you as well, but still showcases a pursuit of you, that means, in my world, because like I understand an indicator of interest can come from the form of a test, but I've also been in situations where no testing has been needed, purely down to the fact that she believes in who I am and she feels that I am of value to not need to test. Like, if anything, if I failed her tests, it's gonna reflect badly on her, because she's still gonna have to continue to pursue me, given that I have what she needs through whichever manner, right? So why would you, it's a confirmation bias-esque situation. Anyway, There's three particular ways. She's going to test you for your... Let me get this up so I ensure I've made notes here. Your confidence, your options, and your security. That's what she's going to test you on. Listen again. Your confidence, your options, and your security, right? She's going to make jokes that are rooted in truth. She's going to laugh at your haircut. She's going to laugh at your little belly. She's going to reference other men who she finds attractive. She's going to reference men who have got things you don't. And she will do so as an obstacle to see how you pass. You can maneuver around this obstacle with finesse, or you can react in a emotional manner, in a triggered sense, and try and break through that obstacle. Let me give you an example. I was on a date not so long back, and around this time, well, I say not so long back, it's relative, you know, I've not needed to date for some time, so you can cast judgment as to when this was, but there was a film at the cinemas at this time, there was a movie at the cinemas with an actor, Zac Efron, known primarily from High School Musical, but he's a grown man now. And in this film, he was depicting, I think, a wrestler, although it could be a warrior of sorts, but I think it was a wrestler. I think it was a historical document of this wrestler figure. And he looks great. He looks great. He's in fantastic shape. You know, he's in Hollywood shape. So take that as you will. Not natural is what I'm trying to imply here. And he looks amazing. He looks better than 99% of people on planet Earth. He would do give or take the drugs anyway, right? And this film gets referenced, like, have you seen this? And in response to that, to clarify what film, because he's got like a bowl cut haircut in this film, I said, oh, is that's the first thing my mind went to, because I didn't know anything other than the film. Like, to this day, I just sort of said, oh, is that the one where he's got that haircut, that funny haircut? And from that response, it triggered in her the parental, biologically rooted assessment mechanism that is necessary to respond to that in a manner to test out whether this was me speaking from a position of insecurity or security, right? And I'm telling you, man, when you overtly break another man down because you are projecting your insecurity upon that man, she's going to identify this, maybe outside of her conscious mind, but she will identify that you're attacking this man for a reason that doesn't seem like you should, right? I mean, what's that cliche term? The lion is not concerned with the opinions of sheep and blah de blah, right? So you, as a grown man, shouldn't be punching down on no one. Generally, people don't really do that, aside from your governments, aside from your authoritarian figures. But if you're on your own path, you know, you're looking upwards. If you're wanting to do better, you're looking upwards. People attack up out of envy and jealousy, right? They don't attack down because they don't have time for the people that are now below them, and they're so secure in their pedestal that they needn't do so, generally speaking. So she hears me make a comment about his haircut in not necessarily a positive manner, but, you know, truth be told, it is a eccentric hairstyle, and that's how I identified the potential of that being the film. And so she says, oh yeah, Zac Efron is super hot and all this and that and that. And the energy in the statement and the, you know, bold declaration of how she finds this man sexy and stuff, these are the things you pay attention to, because it was so disjointed to our actual conversation and to our actual dating experience. It was worth making note. You know, it was like, bloody hell, like, she really made a bold statement there for some sort of reason. And that was a test to see how I would then respond to that. She was testing my confidence as a man. Is he going to try break down Zac Efron, this high status, hopefully rich, good looking man that a lot of women would love to be with? Is he going to try to break this man down? That would be a symbol of insecurity on this guy I'm dating's behalf. And I don't want to be with an insecure man, because that bleeds into so many different facets of his life and what our relationship will be. But the moment you say, yeah, he does look good in there, I agree with you, he's got a right body on him, she's not going to say, oh, that's homo, because it's not fucking homo. It's a display of confidence and acceptance in a factor that most men would not verbalize, because they would be uncomfortable and unconfident in doing so, right? And like we know, there is feminine within the masculine, and those who outwardly project this 100% masculinity is harboring a shadow that will come out at some point, right? So she tests the confidence. When she references other men, what they have that you don't, she's testing your confidence. And you as a man shouldn't, it could be a fake it till you make thing. You should acknowledge it, understand it, and think, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with what she's just said, but I see it for what it is. I can not only give her, a doubt of me. I can't put myself in the dirt, but I also can't elevate this man to a higher standard above us both by reacting in this particular way, because she is using this as, an indirect means of, assessing the social values of the people she acknowledges in her life, whether they are celebrities or not, right? The more men this celebrity makes insecure, the more value he has, even though they don't even know each other on a personal level. Whereas the other celebrity who isn't inspiring this envy and insecurity in men might not be perceived or held up with the same degree as value in that particular realm by that woman, because she doesn't see it in the social environment around her. So she's testing you based on your confidence. You will get this. When you're initially dating, most definitely you will get this. Sometimes she won't have to probe you, because you will speak so much and be so self-indulgent that you naturally just give her all your insecurities anyway, in a desperate attempt to win her over and tell you everything about her, which is backwards. But if you play the mysterious game, if you hold back, if you say less than necessary, and you allow her to talk and sell herself to you and qualify herself to you, then in that regards, she's probably going to probe you a little bit just to see who you are. Why not? Why not? She doesn't want to go back to someone who might be a serial killer. It's completely fine and it's understandable. So that's some game there. That's number one. She's going to test you for your confidence, and she'll still do so 5 years down the line. Honestly. She'll break your boundaries, she'll break your walls down, she'll weaken you as a man, and then she'll still continue pushing them boundaries and try and make you insecure and not confident anymore. Then she'll leave you and break up with you, and all you can do is blame yourself. That's her nature, unfortunately, and it's for her own security, and it's to ensure that you're the best man you can be. So, don't hate the game. Moving onwards, she's going to test you for options. Oh, I bet you say that to all girls. Oh, when was the last time you went on a date? Oh, I've seen you were on Instagram with this girl or that girl, blah, 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 blah. She's going to test you for options, because it's going to allow her to perceive how you value her and how she should value herself in relation to you, right? And this isn't purely down to the fact that this is, a test a woman will run. This dynamic is the same with women as well, right? If a bunch of men want one particular woman, in the eyes of that man, she is of elevated value. It is less so, though, as the vice versa. So most men feel that they have to downplay the fact that they've been with other women, and downplay the fact that they've had experiences with women, or women want them, or they're good with women. And it's the counter opposite, because the thing is, economically speaking, if a bunch of women are interested in me and I'm dating a bunch of women, surely it's a privilege for me to be able to spend this moment with you, right? Not only am I valuing you and your time and elevating how you feel about yourself, like I'm speaking directly to your ego here and elevating you into a a position of self-love through my, attractive essence and how good I am with women. I'm saying, yeah, I've got all these other women, but I'm here with you, right? Because you stand out in the crowd and I'm interested to hear who you are. But yeah, most definitely. And as we continue in our relationship, I'm not going to be able to help the fact women are interested in me and pursue me because I'm a man of value and I get my head down and I work hard, and unfortunately I showcase traits that these women are attracted to. I can't help that, all right? So you're just going to have to take it or leave it. And trust me, these women aren't going to leave it. These women are going to be attracted to the light you provide, right? Whereas if you go forward and let's say, for example, you don't get women, so she probes you and says, "Oh, when was the last time you went on a date?" And you say, around 5 years ago." And she goes, "Oh yeah, yeah. Have you been in a relationship since then?" And you say no. She's gonna think, "Who is this weirdo? This weirdo gets no attention." And I'm speaking to the incels here, right? I'm not calling you weird, but I'm saying this is how you will be perceived, right? If you're unlucky with women, you don't want to highlight the fact because some might think, "Oh right, well she's the one. This woman I'm on a date with is the one, and she will love the fact that I haven't seen anyone and I'm a virgin and I'm gonna spend my time with her and she'll get that." You would hope that would be the case. You would hope that self-preservation and that lack of vice or sin or whatever in between it could be perceived as, you think that would be to your benefit, but no, she doesn't look at it like that. She doesn't look, she wants what other people wants. She wants the products other people wants. This is marketing, right? If you market yourself and advertise your product as one of value that everybody wants and it's limited time only because it's going to sell off the shelves and there's only 5 left and so forth, people feel an urge to purchase that product. Whereas that which is on the shelf, which is tenfold, that nobody's picking up, nobody's buying, people will unconsciously believe there's a reason why nobody is buying that, because it goes contrary to the fact and reality of that which is valued, is sought after, purchased, owned, and possessed. Okay? So she's going to feel you out for options. And when you feel this out, and let's say, for example, if you are that man who hasn't had a date in 5 years, who isn't good with women, but has managed to sort himself one out, if she prompts you and says, "When was your last date?" all you have to say is, "Oh, you know what? Not too long back. Yeah, not too long back. But we don't need to talk about that, all right? This is about us, right?" You don't need to give her the finite detail. She hates the detail. She wants ambiguity. She wants space to imagine, and she wants to be fascinated by you. Open 20 doors when she wants you to open up the one. Let her choose which route to take, okay? Because it gets her thinking about you. It gets her interested in you, fascinated in you. And relatively speaking, 5 years might be somewhat recent compared to the man who's not had a date in 10 years or your friend who's never had a date at all. So just be mysterious about it. Answer obliquely. Yeah, she probably will catch on to that at some point and say, "You never answer questions properly, blah, blah, blah." But trust me, she's not going to leave you for that. And if it's something she needs an answer for, right, that she's frustrated about, she'll ask you fair and then when it winds her up, and then just give her an answer, if needs be. By that time, you'll have established a relationship and a communication of value that it makes sense, right? So she's going to test you on your options, such as insecure men will test her on her options. You, man, who care about her body count and so forth, during the dating phases, during the dating period, you needn't bring it up. Just have fun, enjoy time with her, learn the game, have a good experience. You're there on a date with her because you find her to some degree attractive, I would hope. So just have a good time. Who cares about her past adventures and so forth? That's a position of insecurity, right? Because truth be told, as you go down the line, given that you do find this woman interesting, she will reveal herself anyway. She will tell you her past experiences, whether you like it or not. So just do that. Just do that. Moving on to the third thing she will test you on, that is your security. So this is within the camp of resources. This is emotional security. This is self-belief, ambition, understanding, however you want to apply the term security, right? So it interlinks with confidence to some extent, but she's going to ask you who you're staying with, where you're staying. When I was working, this pretty young girl joined, and I got given the position to train her up a little bit. And as we were doing so, she asked if I stayed within the area, and then she asked me, "Oh yeah, who do you live with?" That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Like, perhaps when it comes to how far do you work, because she has a question about getting to work on time or how long it takes me to get to work, that's one thing. But to follow it up with who I live with, that's irrelevant. That's information that she wants to know personally for her own wants and needs, right? Does he pay it for himself? Does he live with his parents? Is he living with a partner? Right? I stopped at girlfriend there because she wants to understand who you are sexually. So pay attention to these things. These are indicators of interest. And when you say, yep, I got my own place, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm blah, 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 that's a position of security. She's going to be attracted to that, right? Not repulsed by that. When you say, oh, I'm living with my parents because I'm saving up to buy a house and blah, 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 yeah, more than likely that's better than saying you just live with your parents, but she's going to look at you and think, what, you can't do it yourself? What, you need mummy and daddy's help as a grown man to be able to do that? And even though it brings you simplicity in life, even though it brings you comfort in life, it's the reality of such, right? The lessons you learn through the trials and tribulations of establishing a path by yourself as a grown man, that outworks tenfold the fiat finance you're going to, save up to put down on your debt to the bank in due time, right? Look at the reality of such. If the mass amount of people are sold to take that particular route and do that particular route, I think you want to go the opposite direction. So I say that to say this. She's going to search you out for your security. That's it. When you turn up to the event, when you turn up to the date and you're wearing particular attire, hey, you could turn up in your Louis Vuitton trainers, you could turn up in your Gucci t-shirt, your branded stuff. You are speaking and communicating within the role of the woman here, the materialistic elements of such. I don't believe you should do this because I think that's I think you should find God as opposed to worship material and brands. I don't think you should have brand loyalty per se. I think that's a sign of weakness and submittance, and you're being pimped on by them brands. I think you look like a hoe, right? So that's a bit of food for thought for you. But she will perceive those brands as to how those brands have been marketed into the world, and that's something of expense, of luxury, and she will perceive you as such. But she will perceive you of a higher value, given that the clothing you wear doesn't hold the branding and the logos, but actually, quite frankly, aligns with her pattern recognition of a man with value. So she's looking at you for security. The businessman has security. The CEO has security. The artiste of a higher standard that she's come across in her life has security. And these individuals wear clothing that aren't necessarily branded, but are of high quality, are of a particular style, fashion, a long sleeve shirt as opposed to a t-shirt, dress pants as opposed to jeans, as opposed to shorts, Chelsea boots and, the tailored footwear that a businessman would wear, that a entrepreneur would wear, as opposed to the expensive trainers that a young antisocial man would wear. I'm a fan of trainers. I like trainers, but the moment, you know what I mean? I like trainers, and good trainers aren't cheap. If you want to get a flashy pair of trainers, it's not cheap. But you go walk into the sports store and have a look at where them trainers are being sold, and you have a look at the market of the people. You're going to be associated with that market of people. Whereas if you spent half of that amount and went to, a place where you can get suited and booted, have a look at the clientele there. You want to be elevated upon onto the frequency of a man with security if you want to pass her tests a little easier, right? But that's game for a different conversation, yeah? Different conversation. And I'm not saying you have to be someone you're not, right? This is completely irrelevant to that, right? So she wants to find out your security. She wants to see where you work, what your job is that a dead-end job or not? Of course. And this is the unfortunate reality, because I didn't go through higher education. I don't have qualifications. I wasn't given the leadership to pursue a path within a career that is societally perceived as high value. So there's going to be a disconnect as to how you're perceived compared to the lawyer, compared to the doctor, compared to, the person working in these higher echelons of these corporate entities. But if that's not you, that's not you. You can still ensure that you do the right thing. And the fact that you've established security through independence as opposed to working within a company that isn't yours, that you don't own, that elevates you and showcases a degree of characteristic and, power that other man doesn't possess. So it's all dynamic. It's all about what you know and what you don't know, and what you've applied and what you haven't applied. Pay attention. So to re-clarify, she's going to test you on your confidence. She's going to test you on your options. She's going to test you on your security. That's some good game. You got to click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. I come today with a question, yeah? Are you scared that she will cheat on you? Are you scared that she will cheat on you? Let me tell you this, if you are, or if you ever have been, or if you will be in the future, remember this. You got the game backwards. You got the game backwards. Don't care. Don't care. I know it's easier said than done, so this is like some heavy rewiring that needs to be done. This sort of becomes more of a stable concept when you're able to align a general understanding and lay down the foundation of knowing how relationships work and how she perceives you and how you perceive her, and how the general message that is taught to you is a subversion of the truth, right? So when you first hear that, it's like, well, how the hell do I stop caring? Like, I don't want that. This is innate, biological reality, because me as a man, I need to care. I need to have that fear. I need to have that anxiety, because I can't have 18 years raising a kid that isn't mine, which is the truth. There is an underlying anxiety with men when it comes to this. This is like Freudian psychology, because within our ancestral hardwiring, at some point there has to be a little bit of an upgrade to our technology to say, wait a minute, this has happened and this can happen, and we don't need you raising somebody else's kid for this time. So here's a little push in the right direction to be considerate of that being a potential, right? Don't be ignorant, don't be naive. But with that being said, it needs to be known that you have to refresh one's mind into understanding if she wants to cheat, she will. Like, full stop. And she will cheat if you fuck your game up. Like, if you're mispimping, mate, it's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. And she's more likely to cheat on you when you manifest it through the principle of duality, by being so shook and considerate of if she will, right? Like the law of attraction, what you believe you will achieve, right? Don't be scared of her cheating on you. It's hustling backwards. You need to be aware that she can. Hell, in my world, I think that she will. And if she will, that creates this bipolar reaction in her psyche to prove me wrong. Why does he never have faith in me? Why does he never have trust in me 100%? Because, babe, you're only human. The only person I trust 100% is myself. If you don't like it, lump it, leave me. Do you know? She should be worried about me cheating. I never would. I'm an honourable man. But the attention I receive off of women, that is a necessity for you to strive in your relationship. It's the necessity if you become a man of any substance whatsoever. It can't be helped. She should be worried about me. For me to sit around and worry about my missus cheating is indicative of me not having further options. It is a symbol of my insecurity blown up tenfold, and it is a manifestation of reality. They call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you get into the mind of a man who is fearful of his missus cheating, you get into a mind of a man who has pedestalized his woman to a degree where he places himself below her and is in complete awareness that she very much likely will do because he is not deemed as valuable. And through that belief, it manifests through his communications with her. It expresses itself non-verbally, if not verbally, subconsciously, through his conversations with her, right? Through the tonality of his voice that she picks up on, being the social creature she is, and through the recognition of patterns through all the men in her life who have had the same innate, inbuilt fear. If you value yourself as a man, if you abide by the buzz term of high value man, and you hope one day to be a high value man, you need to understand that the high value man does not concern himself with the idea of his partner cheating, because the high value man thinks it's her loss if she does, right? Duh. The high value man gets himself in a position of independence to such a degree that he is always independent enough to walk away. He's always independent enough to influence her to act appropriately, because she knows he can always walk away. And through the fact he can always walk away, she is never going to do him wrong to that degree, because she's never going to meet another man like him. She's met many men prior to you who are insecure and fearful and project through maybe their own actions, through their own dirty deeds, through their own background, through their own lack of control over their sexual impulse, they project themselves on that woman, right? The woman will start to point at you 5 years into a relationship, tell you you're cheating, and you think, where did this come from? It's a projection of self. She sees in you what she is trying to repress in her own self, and in doing so, she has to attack that because she can't face it through her own self-understanding. The moment you get fearful over the fact that she could be cheating is something you need to assess in yourself. You need to wonder why. And you need to wonder how it got to that position. And you can only blame yourself. It's some brief but concentrated game for you there. Click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. We're talking game, we're talking about successful dating, we're talking about communicating effortlessly, efficiently, coherently with the woman. So pay attention, yeah? We men are seduced by the senses. Our sight, what we smell, what we hear, what we taste, and what we feel, whereas a more direct means into the mind and fascination of the woman is the word, is the stimulation of the fascination of her mind. Being able to converse intelligently and insinuate fluently. I'm going to talk to you about dating. I'm going to talk to you about engaging with women, full stop. If you are wanting to get into her pants, generally speaking, more than likely, you might have to talk to her for a little bit. Right? Sometimes that might not be the case. If you're good on the dance floor, that might not be the case. So, or if you pay her, might not be the case. So, you want to be able to create consistent threads of conversation, taking her on this journey, taking her on this worldwide exploration via her imagination. In a sense, you are going to be able to hypnotize verbally, through your knowledge, through your experience, and through your unique quality that separates you from the other men she has spoken to. We present ourselves in a particular manner. You can focus on that. The only other thing you have to focus on is the expansion of your consciousness, the expansion of your knowledge, the application of your knowledge, the depth and the unique value of your knowledge, the implementation of your intellect via the spoken word. When you're dating that woman, you can't speak on the same topic forever. And if you are engaging with that woman, she doesn't want to hear you speak about the same things she could hear from her colleague. A little bit of familiarity is okay, but you are going to want to be able to disconnect and reconnect to particular topics by your own choice. You lead as she craves the leader. And yes, I say that we should listen more than we speak. Let her have the limelight. Let her be the spotlight. Allow her to get what she doesn't get with others, which is space to express her own identity and individuality. You give her that. But when it's your turn to converse, you must lead with such a fantastic fathom of pacing, direction, knowledge, glitz and glamour of the verbal sense, that she can't help but pay attention and listen. And as you continue your journey through the verbal expression, you connect that topic onto another topic, and before you know it, she's taken on a turn into a different field, into a different space of understanding. And as she continues following you, she forgets the last conversation or as to how we got here, and she continues listening as to where you send her onto the third space. And you can feel free to tie it up and come back full circle, or you can just continue moving. You are multifaceted. Your intellect knows no bounds. The fascination she has in you, the element of mystery they tell you should have, comes through your life experience and your understanding and your knowledge. If your knowledge is going to work, coming back and watching the television, how much can you speak about? You're not expanding your horizons. You're not expanding your horizons and living a life of colour and expression to impress women, but you're doing so to live a life worth living. And when you live that life worth living, you will have a never-ending supply of information to provide that stimulates the imagination to a degree she has never felt before. You can make a woman finish via the word. She doesn't need your physical touch. She doesn't need big biceps and muscles. She needs a stimulation to that feminine imagination. You need to take her on a journey and allow her to submit and follow to your word as you take her on this journey. You need to read. You need to observe. You need to see. You need to inquire. You need to listen. You need to do everything that the general populace does not do. The general populace speaks. The general populace communicates their own message, but not takes the time to understand the value of the message they receive. They're 90% talk, 10% listen, whereas you are 90% listen, 10% talk, and in doing so, you expand your knowledge of the human because you approach it in a genuine interest. In doing so, you showcase empathy, which is what the woman wants in the man, emotional intelligence, and you leave oneself to see through the eyes of others. You live 100,000 different lives in one lifetime because you experience through the eyes of others as opposed to your own singular story. And that singular story is one of going to work, working a job, being part of a hierarchy as to which you submit because you don't own the business, and then you come home and consume the media and entertainment and the message and the principles that they socially engineer you to possess, because it makes you a weaker person by default, because they can't be doing with bringing strong people up in this community because they will overthrow the power that they have. That's the general person. You're not like that. You don't do that. You see that. You observe that. You express that. You know that inside and out, and you reapply the principles as to which you learn through that dynamic, through your dynamic, through other people, through what you perceive in communities, through what you perceive in the tribal essence of things, what you perceive through the salesmanship of the fear and pleasure principle that manifests through every communication and transactional basis throughout planet Earth. You see these things, you express these things. She wonders, how do you know these things? I've never met anybody who speaks like that. I've never met anybody who has such value as you. You're engaging with her, you get cut off by someone, the waiter brings you a drink, you don't continue on with that last communication, you've got too much to talk about, you start afresh, you start a new thread, you create new conversation based on something different, based on the drink you're having. Did you know they mix this with this and this? Did you know about these chemicals? Did you know about, you know, the purpose as to which liquid serves in your body? Do you know, when I had this, I was sitting on the beach of here, so do you know what the traditional culture is over there? It's amazing. You would love to go. Maybe we should go one time. Maybe in the future, if you're lucky, we can go. Do you see where I'm coming from? Create something from nothing. You will learn how to do so when you start to educate yourself in this external information, in this uncommon information. And trust me, as we enter the you will own nothing and be happy period of civilization, they will take away the books, they will take away the literature. Kindle is a mockery of the book. You create Kindle from burning material. Yes, they are burning the books, they are burning possession. You stream your music, you don't even read, but if you do, you read it off of a Kindle or off of a PDF. You need to possess information that sharpens your information. You need to read about humans, you need to understand people. And not only will you communicate about the right things and portray this immersive storytelling that links into our hardwiring since the dawn of time, it's the most enticing means of creating a bond, right? You will express it and engage with it in such a manner and create this communication as you're telling this, you know, story, in a means as to which you will plant seeds in her mind, you will excite her, you will project in this pickup artistry sense, this demonstration of higher value, this indication of interest in such an oblique means, but she can't help but reciprocate it to you because you are giving her the game she never got from nowhere else. You become the teacher, you become the educator, you become this authoritarian figure. Expand your horizons, learn and live a life now. Quit your fucking job and go and live a life. Be you, be independent, be individual, and for some strange reason, people will deem you as valuable. Isn't that strange? Disregarding the material possession, disregarding the BMW on lease, disregarding the mortgage, you know. Click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. I come with a message. I come to preach the gospel. Make her feel seen. Okay? Make her feel seen. This is why you need to learn about psychology. You need to learn about human biology. You need to venture into the realm of esoteric information and garner an understanding of people, of behavior, of the woman, as well as the man, and the relationship of the two, in order to converse in a manner with her that she feels both exposed, anxious, and incredibly entwined with you. When you shine the light upon her and who she is and what she is, there's an air of insecurity you may provoke. There's a discomfort as she, like the rest of the world, walk upon this earth with a persona, with a mask, with that which has been formed in adulthood to protect the inner child. And when you come forth and you understand this and you see this and you peer at the real her through the cracks in her armor, it creates an anxiety within her as now she has been spotted, she has been seen. What does he know? How does he know? But how enticing is it to be able to relieve oneself of the weight of the armor you have been buried beneath for all this time? This is some real game here. This is some real game. This isn't a matter of you overtly telling her you can read her mind. I'm not saying you have to be some wizard, but in order to identify what to and what not to talk about, you're able to read her reaction, her nonverbal communication, her reflexes, her unconscious behavior. You're able to listen to the tonality of her voice. You're able to listen to the distancing in her verbal communication. You're able to understand the game she plays and try to assess a meaning as to why she plays it. You're able to hear the childish reaction in her voice when she speaks on particular topics and subjects and reacts in particular manners. You're able to see her. You're able to see her inner child. You're able to discover her in a way no one else on planet Earth ever has. How incredible is that? You know what? You understand me like nobody else, she will tell you. You know what? We've only known each other for this long, but it feels like we've known each other for eternity, she will tell you. You know, it's like you are my bestest friend because you know just as much about me than the next person does, and you've managed to assess that within the space of not much time at all. She will tell you these things. She will be indebted with gratitude to the space you have made for her to be her true self, to expose herself, to be fearless in doing so. You have become the therapist she doesn't need to pay for. You have become a position of authority within her world that she knows. Not only do you see her, but she can tell you, she can express to you. She knows you will work it out anyway. So she can be honest to you. She can be vulnerable with you. She knows if she does you wrong, you're going to be able to work it out. It'll be a little bit of a safeguard between you, given you get in a relationship. She won't want to lose you because the next people she meets are going to be so basic in nature, so misunderstood in how they approach her, and won't be able to garner an inkling of the true depths of who she is. She feels seen, she feels acknowledged, she feels beautiful. You see her identity, you see who she truly is. This is ever so important, people. This is called empathy, by the way, to some degree. You don't necessarily have to be completely analytical. You can try and fail, but the point is that you're trying to understand her, and she finds that a beautiful thing because nobody's tried to understand her before. No one's shown her interest to this degree before. Nobody has found fascination in her before. People have looked at her as she is. People have been attracted to her because of the shell of herself she presents to the world. People have never really gone to such depth to understand, and that's you. That's you. And this is the duality of such, because quite potentially in this position of understanding, not overstanding, you become submissive in nature, right? She becomes the teacher archetype per se when you inquire with her, when you ask her about her feelings towards that, when you make a statement and say, you didn't really believe that, did you? Or you're not telling us the full stuff, the full story, are you? She looks at you and she knows you see her, and she responds with, not really, but blah de blah. And then we continue talking, we continue communicating. She's understood, she's seen, she expresses herself, and because you see her and you express that you see her in those slight moments, I don't think you really feel that way, do you? Your body betrays you when you say that, you know. She feels anxious, and you can't have intimacy, you can't create sexual charge without anxiety. I'm putting you on game. It creates attention. But it doesn't have her run away. You become the light that exposes her darkness. She learns about herself. She has so much to think about. She goes home thinking about things. She goes home thinking about, what else did he see in me? What else could he teach me? How else can he heal me? You must learn about people. You must experience people. You must learn about nonverbal communication via this channel. Look at the catalogue. I teach you from A to Z how to read every gesture of the human body through their subconscious behaviours. You must learn about these things. And then you can engage with people in such a beautiful degree of understanding that they will establish a connection with you that they have never ever done with anybody else on planet Earth. And as we know, the woman's turn on is the spoken word, is the written word, is the verbal. When we see her, we turn the spotlight off of us. We're not egocentric no more. We're not narcissistic no more. We put her in the limelight. You're the center of attention now. And that child within you that didn't garner the attention that was necessary, and that's why this defensive mechanism has been established. We can start to heal that child. We can give that child what it wants. We can recover you. We can fulfill the void. It's a parallel with a salesman. We give the person what they want, what they desire, what they need. You can call that manipulative, right? But what's worse, giving somebody what they need and healing them and allowing them to be the individual they've always craved to be, or to completely deny that and to force ourselves and who we are into their life in an attempt to please them via that means. It does not work. It's a disgusting way to do it. It's what 99% of people do. Don't just come into my life trying to sell yourself. Make me feel acknowledged, and do so in a way of genuine, honest cooperation. Don't try and weaponize your attention towards me in order to get what you want from me. Do you see? That's some brief game. Click like and subscribe. You won't find it elsewhere. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. I come to you with a message, and that message is this. She has to want to please you. She shouldn't be obligated to, right? We're not making this transactional negotiation as to where you do something for her and she has to do something for you. That's not the case. We're not doing that. That's Mr. Nice Guy. If I'm nice to you, you have to be nice to me in return, and hopefully you'll throw me a little bit of punani. That's not Mr. Nice Guy. That's some devil masquerading as a nice guy. And they see all the way through that shit. The thing is, she wants to have to do something for you under her own pull, under her own biology, under her own submissive nature, under her own feminine manifestation of interaction with the masculine entity you are. And if you're not playing the game, if you're not masculine, well, you are masculine. Let me tell you that you are. If you're a man, if you're a biological man, you are masculine. But you need to understand your principles. You need to disconnect from the societal principles that have been hoisted upon you, that is weighing you down and preventing you from flourishing in the dating market, who is telling you that you are toxic for acting appropriate according to your genetic makeup. You need to be the man you are, and then she will want to please you, right? You're a successful man. She will want to please you. She's got purpose to do so because you will cater for her. You will look after her. She will enjoy the attention you give her, given the fact that you are of a higher standard of not only her, but the general system of men that exist and reside around her. You need to be a man of standards, a man of value in the marketplace in order for her to want to please you, given that she perceives you as somebody who of higher value than her. Yes, most definitely. I mean, you know, you're not going to have the most beautiful woman on planet Earth who can garner the attention of multi-billionaires coming to you and wanting to please you. You know, there's not necessarily going to be any need there. She doesn't need to garner the resource that you can provide because she can do much better, right? It would be nonsense for her to do so. But if this lady is of someone within your field, within your market, someone who abides, you know, within the same, you know, social mathematic and economy, then there should be no obligation. There should be no negotiation. She doesn't want to be persuaded. She shouldn't need to be persuaded, because that persuasion is where you end up catching a case for yourself. Because you end up being too forceful. You might end up getting what you want, but when she realizes she didn't want to do that and she regrets it, you've got a big issue. Let me move this in closer. Hear me clearly, yeah? She should want to do it. Because there's a thing about, you know, these red pill talking heads, these masculine entities on the internet. They are obsessed and fascinated overtly with the idea of a submissive woman, a feminine woman. And they say they don't exist, but realistically that speaks more so to the man who is speaking than the women. The reason they don't exist is because you don't manifest that facet of their behavior, of their reality out of them. Why? You need to look inwards and look at yourself. You're not engaging with her correctly. She doesn't perceive you as somebody she wants to submit to. Well, that's just women in the Western world, blah, blah, blah. Bro, your woman submits to her boss when she needs a paycheck, when she needs 12 British pounds sterling per hour for 8 hours work in one day. Come on, why won't she do it for you? That's crazy. That's crazy, that's insane. Do you know where I'm coming from? What more needs to be said? That's a brief one. I'm signing out on that. Click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. Alright, I come with you. No, I come to you actually. Hey! Are we coming together today, yeah? I want to let you know, familiarity is anti-seductive. Alright? let's go into some game. Familiarity is anti-seductive. She doesn't want to know everything about you. This might be on your first date, and this might be 10 years into your marriage. She doesn't want to know everything about you, bro. Stop chatting shit, and if she knows so much about you, you best switch up. You best reinvent yourself, my brother. You best start to find some degree of excitement external to the peaceful state you as a man would love to live in and are living in. She doesn't like that. She don't like that. So this isn't all about how to be the man and women can like it or lump it. We're giving the woman what she wants on this one. Familiarity is anti-seductive. She works and operates in a different state of mind as we do. She wants spontaneity. She wants drama, excitement. She wants to be thrilled. She wants to be surprised. She wants what she sees on the drama programs and the celebrity, news reports and the bits and bobs she gets engaged with. She's a social creature, tenfold what we are. She needs a little bit of excitement in her life. You need to surprise her with a gift. You need to surprise her with a little tickle and a hug. You need to surprise her with a holiday. You need to surprise her by being a bit of a knobhead. You need to surprise her by not attending your living space at the time you normally do. She has to think, where is he? What's he doing? Where's he gone? Ring, ring. I can't get through to him. What the hell is he doing? Right? When you're understood, you're boring. When you watch the same film 10 times over, it's not as exciting as it was the first, second, or third time. You understand it. You know it from start to beginning. You can recite it. You can tell people about it. This is the pattern it operates in. This is the climax. It doesn't get any better than that. This is the best part of the film. I've experienced the best part of the film. When you play a video game, it's the same old shit. It's enchanting, mesmerizing, hypnotizing to go through the story once, to engage in the trials and the ups and downs once. But when you've done that, how much more easier and how much more, or how little satisfaction are you receiving the second time around? Not nearly as much. Familiarity is anti-seductive. Men say, well, how can I be more mysterious? And then you'll see like younger men, the young generations who are coming up who sort of make a meme out of anything and everything. They'll say, me with my mysterious aura. And it's like, it's not an aura, bro. It's just a lack of information you give out. Most people are too busy talking. Everyone is too busy just selling themselves in every conversation due to a weak sense of self that they feel like they need to display what they perceive as their best qualities in order for that other person to like them. When the reality is, if they just shut the hell up and have them speak and let them do exactly what you were intending on doing, they're going to look at you like you're Superman because they've always wanted someone to listen because nobody does. And they're going to think, who is this person? Because they don't know that person. Because that person hasn't felt the need to indulge in this 100% deep narcissistic self-indulgent splurge of self-projection upon that other person. Familiarity is boring. When you understand somebody, bruh, trust me, look at it on a global scale, on a macro scale, right? If I'm in the United States and I want to go to war in the Middle East, imagine how easy I could destroy the place if I knew what was going on. If I was familiar with the politics, if I was familiar with the people behind the plans, if I was familiar with the plans themselves, if I was familiar with the organizations and the movements and the patterns, I could do whatever I want. I could destroy the hell out of that shit. But the fact that I don't know what's going on, the fact that they keep stuff outside of arm's reach, the fact that they operate in unorthodox manners and they can keep that air of mystery and mystique up, even though I try to organize that puts me in a position of anxiety. It puts me in a position of uncertainty. It puts me in an attentive space where I have to work them out. I have to think about them. I have to engage in deep thought about them. Is that not love? If you've got a woman thinking about you, trying to work you out all day and night, is that not love? Am I saying be a dickhead? No, but what I am saying is this could be good, bad, or evil. Like, you can be whoever you want as long as you don't operate in a pattern which is deemed mundane. She's going to be rushed into your whirlpool. And given the drama, she's only going to create herself, given you were plain Jane peaceful man. She's going to produce the drama, if that's the case. It's either you or her. You might as well manufacture it in this superficial manner as opposed to her bringing real deal issues to your front door. She must never understand the deep depths of your psyche and understanding and philosophy and intelligence and education and know-how and direction. No! It's the same all around the board. It's not necessarily purely in relationships. The moment you have a game plan and you start telling everyone around it, you're not manifesting that shit no more. You're spreading yourself thin. You're expressing that magic into the world, whereas it must be kept deep in within and it should be created through oneself until it becomes a reality. And that reality is going to be the proof that everybody needed anyway. But they don't give a fuck about your words. Everyone's got words. Who cares? I'm putting you on some deep game. Don't ever be understood. Be an enigma. Be a person of depth. Be an artistic project of oneself. What more do I need to say? Stimulate that feminine imagination. Click like and subscribe. Peace.